Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Mall of the South's first #Holla Women's Day event. A warm welcome to our tenants, to our shoppers, to our wonderful guests that are joining us here today, and of course to our audience that are live stream watching today from home. Can I get a big holla to all the wonderful women out there? Thank you so much for taking time on your Women's Day to be with us. We really appreciate it. I am Tandy Portuta. I'm going to be your host for today. And I am very passionate about women. I'm very passionate about uplifting women. And most people think you have to do something great and important to uplift women. But for me, it's the baby steps, it's the little things. So I make sure every day, every woman that I come across, I say something uplifting to her. I say something like, you look beautiful, or something you said really impacted me. And everybody can do that. So I'd like to ask you to make that a daily practice. And just by those small little steps, we can help empower the women every day of our lives. So I'd just like you to take 1 second to just quickly look at the person next to you and just tell them something that you noticed that was really amazing about them today. Could be their eyes, could be where they walked in. So I'm going to give you 1 minute just to do that. And men, we're not leaving the men out either here in the audience. Okay, so that can really be impactful. It sounds like something small, but if we do that every day, you don't know how that person is feeling on the day, and you could really make a difference in someone's life on that day. It could be just something they really needed to hear. A special thank you goes to Hester Smith, the Mall of the South Centre Manager, and of course her incredible team, and to Seko and Solly for hosting us here at the gorgeous Zeal Cafe. Thank you so much. So, we have a number of sponsors who really made this incredible event come together, and we'd like to thank you for their contribution. So we've got combinations for the biscuits and brownies, Dis-Chem for the free Bio-9 skin analysis, and Pamper Hampers for the guest speakers and the host. And for them, you can actually go, they are there today. So you got this little slip, you can actually go to Dis-Chem today for your skin analysis. They are there waiting to help you. Exclusive books for the book display. We've got this amazing display of books from Andile Khalesiwe, who's one of our guest speakers. And you can actually purchase this book at Exclusive Books today. So do make your way down there. It's really an impactful story. Illy for the coffee, for Mozart Creations for the scones, Mall of the South for the fab #Holla masks. I just took mine off. They're absolutely gorgeous and they fit so nicely, thank you. One Stop Value Mart for the beautiful decor, Power of Beauty for the discounted vouchers, Slow Joe, the Gadget Shop for audio and lights, the IV Bar for immune boosts for the guest speakers and the host. I'm really excited about that. I've been before and it was wonderful. And once again, Zeal Cafe for the venue and beverages. So today is a very important day. It marks the 65th anniversary of when over 20,000 brave women marched forward to the union buildings to petition against the country's passed laws at the time. So this is something that we now celebrate every year, although the first one was actually only celebrated in 1995, which was the first National Women's Day. So I'm running out of time. So today, Women's Day has evolved not only to commemorate the 1956 March, but to use this day to create awareness on the increased rates of gender-based violence and unsafe living conditions for women every day in this country that they face on a daily basis. So today, we #Holla against gender-based violence, violence against women and children, and the LGBTQ community. Today we embrace a woman's worth, her empowerment, and her capability. And today we'll be unmasking the truth about gender-based violence. Today we #Holla the unsaid and unspoken with our audacious guest speakers. So please give a big warm round of applause. We've got some amazing guest speakers with us today. We've got Andile Galesiwe, Aggie Mailwa, Sarah Bessler. So our first guest speaker is going to be Sarah Bessler. It's making a bit difficult. I shouldn't have used this flip chart. I'm going to change it. So Sarah Bessler, you are a courageous woman who's going to share your story today. Sarah is an active community member who cares deeply about serving her ward and building a prosperous and inclusive South Africa. Sarah has taken on fight against women abuse by creating a safe haven for abused women. The safety of abused women is close to Sarah's heart, as she too was a victim of abuse. She is fervent about women empowerment, as well as ensuring that women's protection is a priority. Hashtag holler with me as we welcome Sarah to share her story.
Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody is well. I'm Sarah Bessler. I was previously a ward councillor for Ward 23, which is where we are today, is Ward 23. It's a wonderful and fantastic community. I am not a victim. I refuse to be. I am a survivor of abuse. It was 40 years worth of abuse that I actually endured during my life before I managed to make the change and change my life for the better and be able to assist other people that have gone through what I went through. Starting from when I was very small, myself and my family were victims of abuse by my parents, both physical and sexual abuse. And this perpetuated throughout my life, right the way through until I managed to break the cycle, only when I became 40 years old when that eventually stopped. Unfortunately, many people who are victims of abuse do not manage to get themselves right after a long time. So my brother, unfortunately, was also a victim of sexual abuse by my parents, and he, unfortunately, killed himself much later. So I went through my life with this stigma that was attached to me, and during the 80s, unfortunately, we never had such a thing called protection of children and protection, the Child Act that was actually out there to protect the kids. So when we complained about things that were happening to both of us, the state intervened, and then we were both removed from our parents and we went to live in a children's home. I didn't see my brother much after that. We were separated. During my life, things that happened were absolutely horrific. You go through a stage where you have a feeling of either elation or complete and utter devastation. So we start off with the only way that I could ever feel like I was being loved is if there was violence that was attached to it. So my relationships that I went through as an adult were always attached to abusive men who were physically abusive. It was much later that I realized that this obviously isn't how it works. This book here is very important to me. It's my journal of everything that happened from when I was about 4, I think, from when I can remember. And I wrote everything down in here. And this was part of my journey to fix my life and to make things better for myself. I wrote in the front of the book some very important sayings, and I often pull them out so that I can just remind myself of where I've come. You've never lived until you've almost died. That is exceptionally important. When I'd only just met my husband, and I've been through a long cycle of abuse with my previous relationship, where broken arms, broken leg, a broken nose, my face was fractured, where I was actually rammed into a wall and I lost the vision in my eye. Tried to kill myself on numerous occasions, and one day I actually successfully did it. I'd had enough. I felt that I was worthless and I couldn't do anything anymore. And I actually took an overdose of tablets, and my now husband found me, called for an ambulance, sent me off to Baragwanath, and whilst I was there, they managed to bring me back. So this particular saying is exceptionally important. You've never lived until you've almost died. Those who fight for it live life like a fragrance. The protected will never know what you go through. And one of my favourite sayings that I use all the time, never be bullied into silence, never allow yourself to be made a victim, accept no one's definition of your life, define yourself. So after I left and I managed to pull my life together, I went through this journey of writing everything down so I could deal with the issues at hand. I became exceptionally strong, and I became very angry at the fact that people can go through their lives like this and not have a support system to help them. Many women in our country do not report the fact that they've been raped or that they're victims of abuse, specifically rape. I was raped at the age of 15. I was held hostage by a person for about 3 or 4 days before they let me go. So I know what it's like to have that stigma and that feeling of being a victim and being brutalized all over again. Women refuse to go to the police station and report them because unfortunately they feel like they're being victimized all over again when they get there. We need a better system to be able to protect those women so that they can feel safe to be able to go and be able to report these things. And unfortunately, it's not there presently, and I think that with my fight in politics, I'm going to definitely fight for a change to make sure that the women that will go to the police station and report these crimes are not victimized all over again. Also, with my foundation, I've got a foundation called Believe. Believe was born from the fact that I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe that I could be loved. I didn't believe that I would ever be worth anything. Now, with Believe, I try and give the positive reinforcement that Thandi was talking about to other women to make them believe you are worth everything. You are definitely worth it. You make women believe they have a way out. So with my foundation, I have an attorney who does all my work pro bono for me. I coach the women on how to leave a relationship so that when they leave, they are safe, because unfortunately, when you're going through the stage of when you want to make that change is when women often lose their lives. So I teach them about making sure you've got a bag on the side with your clothes and all your important documents in them, and you put them away with some money and you store it safely with somebody you know that you can trust. So that the moment you make that change and you want to leave, you've got a space where you can take your things to and you can get out. So we do my attorney does all of the does the protection orders for the ladies, does all of the legal documents if there's children involved, and does the divorces. We do it all free of charge. I have another lady that works with me who does all of the counselling for the women once they've left. And I work very closely with a women's shelter in Lenasia where we send the ladies to so that they're protected and nobody can find them. So this is my story. This is what I did to try and change my life. And I would like to all the women out there to know, those of you that are living in this currently, there is a way out for you. Just believe that you are not alone. You're not alone, and you can make the change. Thank you.
I think that's incredibly moving. Thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing your story. I think most of us would be actually shocked at how many people are going through all of this behind closed doors. And I think the message there, and Sarah, you know, she is such an inspiration, and she shows that your past does not define you. You are not what happens to you. So you are in charge of your life. And I thank you so much for sharing it. It really impacted, I think, all of us that are here today and watching today. So we have our second guest speaker, Aggie Moiwa. Thank you, Aggie. So Aggie is the Deputy Director General of Inspection and Enforcement Services at the Department of Employment and Labour. And she believes that a leader is a vision bearer. Aggie has global professional experience in the public sector and continues to search for challenges in the field of economic development by utilising broader experience in management skills and knowledge to enhance organisational creativity. Qualities must inspire both individuals and organisations to reach their true potential. Aggie also shares her wisdom as a pastor and a motivational speaker. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's holler for Aggie.
Thanks a million. I've been given a different brief. The first thing that I was told was that I've got an hour, so I'm going to take the whole hour. And secondly is that I'm going to tell my story in kind. I'm a motivational speaker, so I always do lean towards motivating. And maybe before I go on, I almost didn't make it. That's my sister over there, and my niece. We just had some bad news in the family this morning. One of our family members, quite young, about how many years? 18 years, was raped this morning on Women's Day. So typical of what goes on in this country. I thought I should talk about that. The undocumented story about my life is that I was born from a polygamous family. My dad had 3 wives. I was brought up by a single mother. My mom had a total of 10 children, and 8 of us were brought up single-handedly by her. She never went to school. She never knew how to read or write, but she was self-taught. She became an entrepreneur, and she taught herself how to read and write. So I am where I am today because I was able to stand on those shoulders of my mother. Beyond that, I got born again at a tender age of 16, gave my life to the Lord, and like people say, never look back. And that has worked for me. So everything that I am, ever will be, I give the glory and honor to my Lord and Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ. So, my talk is going to be empowerment in approach. And this is empowerment that is meant for us as women. Number one, I want to talk about purpose. One of the greatest writers that ever lived, Miles Monroe, said that when the purpose of a thing is unknown, abuse is inevitable. I want you to know that you are here because your life was purposed to be here. It doesn't matter how you were born. It doesn't matter who you were born to. You were meant to be here. You're not just a number. You're not here to breathe in oxygen and take out carbon dioxide. You're here to make a difference. You aren't an accident. Everything you need to be the best of you is wired up inside of you. Sometimes it comes closed in overalls. So it takes hard work for you to be able to achieve your purpose. You are uniquely you, from head to toe and everything in between. There are about 7 billion people in this planet Earth. No one is like you. You are unique. Beware of self-abuse. I said when the purpose of a thing is not unknown, abuse is inevitable. Sometimes you abuse yourself without even realizing that you're doing that. Sometimes you are your own worst enemy. It takes you to be able to pull yourself out of a quagmire. Number 2, be your greatest cheerleader. Don't wait for people to cheer you on, because sometimes people are quite content to stand by the wayside and watch you make mistakes. Stop self-sabotaging. Stop self-bashing. Allow yourself to make mistakes. Don't discolor your life with negative tags. People will come up with all sorts of tags. It's up to you whether you want to own the tag or not. True empowerment starts from within. Stay self-motivated. We all know about the proverbial horse. They say you can take the horse to the river, but you'll never make it drink. But I say if you feed it lots of salt, it's going to be thirsty and want to drink. Be a salt woman. Take bouts of salt. Develop a healthy appetite for success. Number 3, success doesn't come by accident. You've got to make a decision that you want to be successful. A conscious decision for that matter. You will surely fail. Show me somebody who's never failed in life. I'll show you somebody who's never tried anything. If we fall 100 times, be prepared to stand up 101 times. Believe in yourself. This is the first step. Then comes the hard work. Subscribe to the concept of lifelong learning. Never stop learning. You never owe to start anything. Be prepared to learn from anyone, even people that are most lonely, the most unlikely sources. Everyone has got their story to tell. And if you listen hard enough, among the waffle and everything, you'll pick up some nuggets, lifelong nuggets. Whatever you do, keep moving. Run to your destiny. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But whatever you do, keep moving. Those are the words of Martin Luther Jr. And another thing that he said was, when you take a journey, if your journey is going to take you upwards, there will be stairs to climb. So don't count the number of steps, just take one step. And once that one step is taken, so the journey begins. Remember, a journey of 1,000 kilometers starts with 1 kilometer. You don't have to see the whole staircase. You don't have to see where you're going, but just believe that you're going somewhere and keep going. The road to success not only success, but self-actualization doesn't have traffic jams. Because most of the time, people just prefer to take a detour. So stay on that road. 10 extraordinary things, 10 ordinary things into extraordinary ones by thinking, just adding that little bit extra. Even if you could be a clerk, do it in such a way that even if you could lose your job, long after you're gone, you'll remain irreplaceable. There could be a vacancy, but you'll remain irreplaceable. Remember, the road to success is always under construction, so you never really arrive. Thoughts that you have arrived at the beginning of your downfall. Number 4, you are what you think. What sort of conversations do you have with yourself? Speak to you, not about you. When you speak to you, you speak to the core of who you are. You look at yourself in the mirror and you say, I can. I see a successful person. But if you speak about you, the likelihood is that you're going to gossip about yourself, to yourself. Because you look at all the negativities and you start to embrace them and internalize them. And before you know it, you'll be on a journey to self-destruction. Remember, a flower doesn't compete with another flower. All it does is to bloom. So bloom. Remember also, your thoughts become your action become your behavior becomes your character. People that have done, there's empirical evidence that on average, a person has got about 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts a day. And 80% of those are negative and they're repetitive. So what is it that you tell yourself? That which you tell yourself is going to exude from you. If there's no self-love, even the next person is going to be able, not to be able to love you. Number 5, who do you surround yourself with? Take a relationship audit and check carefully who's around you. What are they bringing in? Are they bringing in something, or are they taking out a lot? I spoke about Miles Monroe earlier. The same guy says, show me your friends and I will show you your future. your pool of friends or people you have a relationship with should challenge your capabilities. If you feel like you're the greatest thing that has ever happened to Mother Earth and you're cheered on by the people nearest to you, the likelihood is that you're associating with the wrong type of people. Remember, a one-eyed man is king in the land of the blind. Keep a relationship audit. Avoid pessimists. You know what pessimists do and what they say? Their glass is always half empty. That's a pessimist for you. And if you say to them, there is light at the end of the tunnel, the pessimist will say, what if it's an oncoming train? I don't want to go there. I want you to know that there are 3 types of people in your life. I read this somewhere, it's not mine. There are people that come into your life for a season. There are people that come into your life for a reason. And there are people that come into your life for a lifetime. A person that comes into your life for a reason and just come in for a day or so. Maybe you meet somebody. When I drove in, I took a ticket, and I know that when I go out, I'll need to pay. So say I don't have money, and somebody just comes in and offers to pay for me. That person becomes a reason. They don't have to be my season. A season, you have people that will stay in your life for a season. And when the season is done, they're going to move out of your life. And there'll be those people that will be your lifetime. So the mistake that we make is that we turn our reasons into seasons and our seasons into lifetimes. And then when they hate us, we wonder why. People will come and go. When it's their time to go, let them go. Do not hold on to them. As I conclude, I want to say, don't live an apologetic life. Have you ever been to you? We go to many, many places, but we don't take time to be to ourselves. We're even scared to spend time with ourselves because we don't want to dig too deep. If your dream about your future doesn't scare you, it is not big enough. Life is a journey. It's not a destination. Celebrate every milestone, no matter how small, because that will cheer you on. Dare to take on a forest so that you leave a path for the next generation. Don't be somebody who's always looking around for paths. Sometimes you've got to be that woman that is going to take on the forest so that you leave your path. They say the sky is the limit. I say the sky is the floor and there are no limits. Thank you.
Wow, that was absolutely incredible. A lot to take away there. And, you know, if we can just implement 10% of that in our lives, I think we'd be living our best life that we could possibly live. And that really resonates with me because, you know, I used to have a foundation called Empowering USA, where I was so upset by the women and especially the young girls that I came across that had such self-doubt. You know, they just didn't believe that they could do anything. So the mantra was believe to achieve. And I think that's so important and exactly what Aggie was saying. You know, you have to just take that first step. You just have to take that tiny first step. And as you take those little steps, it becomes easier and easier. And just to motivate yourself, keep those positive affirmations in your head and just keep moving. And I think most of the things that hold people back are failure. But failure is absolutely the most amazing thing because if you don't fail, you don't learn. And only by failing can you learn and can you become a better version of yourself. So I laugh at failure. I love failing. And, you know, I never get embarrassed if I do something silly. Everybody knows me. I do silly things all the time. But don't nod so hard, Sarah. But for me, it's wonderful. And not only is it good for me, it's good for others who are watching me to see me fail and laugh it off and get up and move forward. And in that way, I feel I'm inspiring other people to do the same. Don't be afraid of failure. All of the successes that you have today, do you know how many years they failed? Richard Branson, all of those people failed and failed and failed, but what makes them different and what makes them standing at the top is that they didn't give up, they didn't stop, they didn't doubt themselves. They knew the impact that they could make on the world, and they just kept going. And if we can just inspire you, and like Aggie was saying, to just take those steps. It doesn't have to be huge steps, it can be little steps, just take them. Okay, so we've got a little opportunity right now. Would anybody like to come up and actually ask a question of any of our guest speakers? Is anybody feeling brave? Come on, Irene, I know you wanted to ask a question. Because I think it's so important, the stories that everybody shared, the inspiration that we've heard today. And a lot of people, I think, are sitting here and thinking, yes, but how did you do that? How can I translate that into my life? How can I go through the trauma that I've gone through and come out other side like you have? So if you don't want to come up and ask people, obviously in public, I'm sure they won't mind if afterwards, you can take them aside. And yes, there we go. We have somebody who'd like to come up. Thank you for your bravery. I'm going to stand a little bit distant from you. What is your name?
Hello, my name is Hannah. So sorry, I forgot your name, but while I was listening to your speech, I actually got emotional. Okay, sorry. You're talking about failure in life, and also you, when you said don't be afraid of it and everything, and I have a lot of self-doubt about my body and how I look, and I also know I've had a lot of people say, oh Hannah, you're so fat, you need to lose the weight, and you just don't look good, and oh, you're never gonna fit in life, stop being so annoying, just all that type of stuff, and I don't know what to do anymore. So this is all helping me, and just all this motivation and inspirational speeches, it just helps a lot. So thank you so much. That speech was beautiful, and coming out like that is absolutely stunning. It's beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay.
And I just want to thank you for coming up and standing here, because you are not alone. I think even the skinniest people, I used to do modeling, and I had friends who literally weighed 45 kilograms and thought they were fat and ugly. So it affects absolutely every one of us. Every one of us has looked at ourselves and thought, I'm not happy with that. And the biggest gift you can get is just acceptance, accepting. So I put on 10 kilograms in the last, thank you COVID. And I thought, do I get upset with it? Do I fit into my clothes? No, I've got to stretch everything. But I decided, you know what, my body doesn't define me. It doesn't impact who I am. And I will just now buy stretch clothing, and it's fine. And that's the biggest thing, is that you've got to accept it, flaunt it. I've got a wonderful, inspirational girl that we do a lot of work with. She's 16 years old, and she started a movement called Curly, Caramel and Curvy. And she's also a curvaceous girl, 16 years old, and she is flaunting it. And do you know how well she's doing? She started doing pageants and motivational speaking, and she is flying because she has that belief. And do you know what people find beautiful? What do people find beautiful? Confidence. Confidence is beautiful. It doesn't matter what you look like, what size you are. What people get attracted to and get that magnetism is confidence. So if you remember that, it doesn't matter if you're huge, thin, and you look gorgeous, by the way, so you really don't have anything to worry about. But the most important thing, just when you start feeling those words of doubt in yourself, straighten yourself up. That's what I do. I love strutting the mall. Anyone who knows, I love walking in the mall, and nothing makes me feel more powerful than doing my power walk through Mall of the South and just saying to yourself, I'm powerful, I'm confident, And that's what makes you beautiful. So just hold on to that. Thank you, and thank you for being so brave. So, I just wanted to... Sorry, I'm busy having a silent conversation with... Pardon? Has anybody else got any more questions? Oh, you've got a question. Oh, sorry, I am blonde, you know. This is what I'm talking about, the failure, embrace it, own it.
Thanks, Candy. My name is Bindi. I actually work at Mall of the South downstairs with an amazing team. I personally feel so strongly about GBV. I have not gone through anything personally, but I've seen people and I've read stories and I've followed the movements that that have been started on social media and everything. And I'm particularly glad for this one as well as Mall of the South. Hala. Councillor Sarah, thank you so much for standing up here and sharing your wonderful story and what you have gone through. I really am sorry for everything that you went through, but the bravery for me is the one thing that stands out from you. Not a lot of people live to tell the story. You know, many of them stayed in those abusive relationships, many of them young, old, you know, they stayed because of children, they stayed because I don't have money, I'm unemployed, and if I leave him, what's gonna happen next, you know? But you went out, you left. For me, I think for young people, this is something we need to take out, you know, that you can leave on time. That bag that you were talking about, you know what, it's something that we have groups at church, we talk about these things. The bag that you were talking about is so important because I can't leave. If I leave, what is my daughter gonna eat? If I leave, where am I gonna stay? People like you have given us inspiration and motivation that you can leave. You don't have to stay in an abusive relationship because you don't know where your next meal is gonna come from. You don't have to stay because you don't know what's gonna happen next. Thank you so much for your wonderful words and your wisdom. And also, Eggy, thank you so much as well. I drew a lot from the stuff that you said. I also have a lot of doubts sometimes, you know. I work in a center that is led by a woman. I take so much inspiration from women that are doing it for themselves. Thank you for reminding us that as women, the sky is not the limit. You can start from scratch. As long as you don't give up, as long as you don't stop, that's where the solution is. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pete. Thank you so much for sharing your feelings, and I think it's really important to talk about those points here today at our event. I think I'm just going to be waiting for one more guest speaker, and I think she's on her way. So I'm just going to read through quickly our sponsors again, just to thank them. We were going to do that at the end, but I think let's just do that now. Because really without them we wouldn't have been able to pull this event together. So once again, thank you to Combinations, Dis-Chem, Exclusive Books, Ili, Komotso Creations, One Stop Value Mart, which is one of my new favorite shops. If you haven't been there, it's just down the aisle on the right, and you will find everything and anything you need at a fantastic price, and I do love a good bargain. The Power of Beauty, where I go every month for my facials, and I'm a staunch supporter of Mall of the South. Slow Joe, the gadget shop, who provide us our gorgeous lighting today. The Ivy Bar, and as I said, those drips are amazing. I really felt, I lead a very hectic lifestyle, and I was lucky enough to have one of the Ivy drips, and I really felt amazing. It really boosts you, and I was able to tackle everything that I needed to do with the energy that it supplied me. And then of course the beautiful Zeal Cafe, which is relatively new to Mall of the South, It looks absolutely beautiful. They have the Illy coffee, and do come and support them. They are opposite Diskeng. So thank you so much to Zeal Cafe for hosting us today. While we wait, I'm just going to say something very quickly, which was my closing statement, but I'll say it now. So, something that was the mantra of the 1956 march: when you strike a woman, you strike a rock. And I think that is really, I get goosebumps every time I think of that. If you let that sink in, when you strike a woman, you strike a rock. And that was what these 20,000 women actually did when they went marching through, protesting the rights that they had. That is what they were saying, and that led to South Africa to where we are today. And that is why we are celebrating this day on the 9th of August every year as well. And without further ado, I think we have our wonderful guest speaker here. So we have with us Andile Galesiwe. She's written this inspiring book here called Remembering, and she's going to be sharing her story with us. Andile Galesiwe is the founder and CEO of Open Disclosure Foundation, an institution founded in aid of survivors of sexual violence, as she was twice a rape victim herself. Andile is a veteran in the music industry and has been active for over 20 years. Andile is also an author of her fierce and at times funny memoir book entitled Remembering, that provides an insight into Andile's consciousness that keeps reviving her and will resonate in young and adult readers. Andile's memoir is available at Exclusive Books right here at Mall of the South for only 292 rand. Ladies and gentlemen, holler with me as we welcome Andile to share her story.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, I'm guessing. Is it still morning? It's Women's Day, but we work. I just came from work, I'm going back to work. It's women that put this event together, we're working, right? Yeah, so what can you do to us? So, it's such a pleasure for me to be here. I first want to acknowledge my big sister over there, Seho. She's you need a Seho in your life, someone who pushes you to do things, and she organizes things. Like right now, she's like, oh no, we're doing this at Mall of the South. I'm like, yeah, but I'm filming. She's like, well, cut yourself in two and be there. And so now I'm here. My message for today, for the women of South Africa, so much is going on in our country, in the world, and whatever's going on, one thing I know for sure, this is where our kundalini powers, our energies, our life force as women, this is where it's needed. This is the time to activate it. As women, in Zulu, they say women are inzalabantu, basically the giver of life, the birther of humans. And so if a woman is hurt, is far from her center, is not healed, is not supported, is not self-supporting, self-sufficient, then the world suffers. In my book, I describe some of the things that I went through, including being raped by my biological father when I was a little girl, and another incident of rape. And the reason I wanted to write this book, in fact, this book wrote itself, was because I wanted to share with women from all walks of life that your story matters. I wanted to tell you, your people might not see you. The family that you are born into might not hear you. Your husband, your lover, your employer, they might not hear you. But that does not mean that you are not valid. It doesn't mean that the emotions, the feelings that you are going through are not valid. Each one of us, when we're born, as little babies, we clench our fists with gifts that we're coming to earth to depart to give. You cannot die with your gifts intact. In fact, you have them, but they are not yours. Your gifts are for those who need them. Each one of us has a set of people that will hear our voice. Somebody's story might not resonate with you, but there'll be a story that might catch you off guard, and it speaks to exactly who you are, where you've been, and where you're going. So each one of us, in actual fact, need to be writing books. Each one of us need to be sharing without ceasing. Because the biggest issue in South Africa, why rape is such a big issue, is that silence. Why everything else, GBV, abusive relationships, why all of that plagues us is because when you are in that moment, you think your safety is you being silent. No, your safety is you being loud. Because when you are loud about your pain, first of all, you go through the most powerful cathartic journey. You are able to take everything, all your demons, and put them somewhere. Give them to whoever's listening. They're not going to carry them the way that you are carrying them, because it's not their demons. So what I did was put all of mine in that book. The day that I finished with this manuscript, I felt like a newborn baby, because everything that had been laying heavy on my shoulders was now off of me. It's like those who are Christian or those who meditate, those who connect to source. You cannot go through that meditation, that prayer, that healing circle, whatever it is, and get up from that the same person that you were when you sat in, when you logged on, when you connected, or when you went on your knees to pray. You've got to empty. I always say we are bins. So every Monday at your house, on Tuesday, pick it up. They'll come and get your bin. Now, if you are not emptying that bin, if you're not putting it out there for them to pick it up, what happens? It starts rotting, right? It smells. It contaminates the space that you're in. Now, if you are a bin that never gets emptied, what happens to you? We know of those, we call them that bitter aunt, that bitter sister-in-law, that lady that you can't really connect with because she's always frowning, she's always sad, she's the bringer of the news of doom and so on. Why? She wasn't born that way. But life happened to her. Nobody though taught her that you can actually exhale. You can empty your bin so that all of those insects and whatever that's in there is out, is where it's supposed to be in the natural cycle of life. We hold on to things that, yes, are ours, but we're there to teach us certain things. But we hold on to them as crutches. And yeah, I don't do that because this happened to me. Oh yeah, no, I don't date this kind of person because that happened to me. And then we start limiting ourselves. We start limiting our potential. We start redesigning our gifts. When you are enough, in every way, you are enough. Everything